Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 2nd of May. We will scroll through the numbers here for the radar screen. And, it was really another kind of mixed day where it's just sort of soft week and pretty much finished flat on the day. Nothing really to get too excited about. And, we look at the radar screen here and we get this mix of buys and sells, which is relatively healthy. There's no real advantage one side or another. It looks like a pretty mixed bag. We are starting to see a few more, I think, sell signals though on the S&P and definitely in the Dow. I mean, you can see a lot of these are already indicating sell signals. So let's look at the charts. And coming off of the cyan candle, we had the up. Now we closed with another one. So this will be interesting. And I haven't checked back-to-back signals like this because I don't know that we've really had any in the past. Let me shrink this down a little bit. We'll take a look and see if there was one at the start of the year like that, because I think when they tend to close on lower days, they don't seem to pop as much. See, the last one right here came right after that one. That was at the start of the year, and it produced just a 0.5 pop. So overall, we still have to have the expectation that you'll have higher with this because that's what the reading is. But if we look at the DOC readings, unfortunately, you have the steel dip below the cyan. That's not exactly bullish. You still can't get red over white. You can't even get green over red. None of that is sustained upside move. It's literally biding time, particularly if any of these break down from the bullish side, at least like the green or even the red, then we're looking at a significant downturn. So yes, bias is bullish. Again, it's one of those where ideally, getting a lower open would be best to be able to take advantage of a little bit lower price from the close. But you have to take it for what it is, and we can see that all these have still done quite well. We have a perfect record, so we'll see if that's sustained going forward. Again, no change here either for the NASDAQ. Again, you don't have the buy crossover. It's close. Could happen nearest to the day, but that's a lower pivot for the steel. That's not going to be that great. Particularly, it'd be worse if the steel had dipped below the cyan. It didn't do that, so at least the potential for just holding on a little bit stronger there for the NASDAQ. The Dow, though, you can see cross below and cross below in the zero with the steel all the way down here, and then you didn't get any increase in your red. In fact, that's plateaued, a little bit of a decline for the day here, and we have a fresh sell signal for at least the Dow, and you can already see that individually when you start looking at some of the stocks. Green crossover for the USO, we can see though that we're still in the deep negative on there. Potentially a day or two. This is one of those where I would start looking at, somewhere in the 35 range for selling some puts. Someone who's aggressive might go to the 36 looking for that extra premium. The fact that we're at the end of the week, I'd be looking into next week's for, some added time in there. But that's still not what I would consider a good buy when you can see the red and white declining in such a severe mode. You're not looking for a whole lot, but that doesn't mean you can't collect a little discount going forward here, because if these start to come together, you could get a nice turnaround pop from it. It's just not there yet. Gold, we knew that gold wasn't there either, and it went lower and then moved up most of the day. But again, this is very strange to have both, your commodities as well as market not really in a buy signal. What are you going to do? This is nothing you can do about that other than just accept what it is. Still all within that deep red, and that's not presenting anything from a super strong. But then again, here, likewise, I'd be looking at the 25s, or even if you really wanted to be aggressive, you could look at the 26 for selling a put for the following week. The problem you've got is you just don't have any narrowing of this range. It just keeps staying at that permanent altitude, and what you have to have, like I said, is the steel moving above that 7.5 to give you that turnaround. Not there yet, but this is where you don't necessarily want to be aggressive. You want to be a little out of the money, but you can still collect some premium while waiting for some of these to do something. Speaking of waiting, CLF very close to this pivot point. This is going to be critical here, seeing green move past the cyan there as it's dipped lower, and it's usually fairly decent bullish, except for Of course, you get the steel, moves all the way up into the no spark zone, so you don't expect a tremendous amount. This is where I think potentially 17 puts could be very interesting for collecting some premium, and even if you're back down there, you're just going to be retesting the low. But it's starting to turn in the right direction here, and particularly if you read into another zone, it should spark a decent buy setup within that configuration. AIG is still doing fine, no issues with that at all. And on that unfortunate combination sell for the 50K, it is what it is, but we avoided the ugly ones by knowing what to expect from them, and continuing to make good progress though on the updated program for that. Let's get the intraday real quick. Here we're looking at the 5,000 tick chart from the intraday, and I have activated both the buy sell and buy sell A. So actually, if I can show you what that looks like, just have to right click here. And you can see that both the buy sell A and 15-minute buy sell are activated. And that's what gives you the little pink, which the pink is just the beginning of all the criteria for a DOC spread starting. And you can see it started out, looked like it was going to get a little weak there, but held up nicely for a nice decay there. We also just got one at the end of the move, even though prices moved a little contrary to it. An opportunity to potentially get a little higher price for a short setup within the current configuration as the market is just getting started. Flattening right there of the red, and that it's interesting because that is a divergent pop to the upside. Nothing objectionable about the move though. Overall looks pretty clean. It was a decent day. It's just kind of like if you put your line here though, you were slightly below and slightly above, and that was just a whole lot of nothing. But that's okay. Let's take a look at some of the alert ones. We go with Apple. You can see that huge decline though of the steel going lower within the positive extreme. I was telling you, you could look for a little bit of weakness, but you definitely wanted to be buying that weakness from a 15-minute standpoint. Not bad, because now with the steel and cyan so low, and now you have all three red, white, and green above, I would expect this to continue to the upside. So not a bad potential play there. Amazon makes a nice little turn, positive tick up there. Still, you got to be a little more cautious with this one. You're going to get just the tiny moves until you can get some serious crossover. Now, what's going to be a concern is if you get a crossover down in the death zone here, which is between this -7 and -13, definitely you will not last on any pop-up. And it's been a pretty modest move, and that's just the general nature of the flatness that's taking place right now. Google puts in the yellow candle, no spark zone. It's not going to really go anywhere. Decent crossover from that point. I'd be looking at intraday setups to look to buy a put. And any little pop would be an opportunity there. Nothing with these. So you get the nice pop, but you get no improvement from our readings, and a pivot lower here at any point is going to give you a second lower pivot. Not great. PCLN. Nice little pop. Gives it that setup, and we had it from the steel crossover, and so then you get a little follow through with the green. Still going to be retesting the lows back, so this is again another one of those to look for any pop to, and when you start getting 15-minute alerts for shorts, that's where you want to have your put option. Tesla, nothing. That's ugly, actually, moving below the red there. Not too much of a shock. You get the same, so they're all looking kind of identical. It's sort of interesting to see them all repeat, and they're all repeating with rather negative overall readings. I mean, some of these we really need to see either the green shoot up and the cyan come down to alter the fact that most of these are still in a downside spiral. Baidu, not bad there. There was a decent pop on there, a little green pivot, and so you can see it starts with the steel, followed through with the green, but you don't have a redness. So I mean, some of these, they're fleeting, they look good, they're what people think are there's some short covering, they usually fade out pretty quick. What I liked about that one on Baidu, though, was the nice extreme histogram where you just have the dip right below the -50 here, and it just pops right back up. Those are usually pretty good. And same thing right here. You dip below the red line, next move up, boom. Usually has a little continuation to it. But then you got to see crossovers and positive changes within the readings. On the Deal Mega here, and not bad so far as long as it doesn't pivot lower on the steel. Might have a little bit more left to it, but it's just like the others, and that separation is still huge between the cyan and green. Not what you're looking for when you want to get a nice run going. You want to have something that's a clean crossover buy that continues. This is interesting because Facebook actually, with the steel above the previous pivot, that's very positive. Nice strong turn up for both red and green at the same time. So when that crosses, it's going to be crossing with strong momentum, which is why the move has been pretty decent with that. So it still looks pretty good, not overbought either. So there you finally had one that was a little bit more on the upside. So interesting start to the month. I would expect by the beginning of the week, though, you're going to have new inflows coming in from all your different pension funds and other 401k contributions and that. So that could be a nice spark for the market towards the beginning of the week. It's definitely going to need it because the readings still aren't great for positive continuation. It looks more like just a little bit of flat choppiness. So we'll just have to take it one day at a time. For now, it's okay. It's interesting. We really need to see, like, even on this 50K, you've got to get that green and red start moving higher, and your cyan at least trying to dip down below if we're going to maintain a strong move. For now, just have to take it one signal at a time. As always, though, look for me on StockTwits, private Twitter feed. Trade well.